The number of men going MGTOW is growing immensely. The jewelry business has experienced a severe decline in sales because far fewer men are buying engagement rings and other jewelry for women as gifts. Bakeries are making far fewer wedding cakes, and now a large number of the wedding cakes they make are for gay weddings. Bridal companies are running out of business. The price of cat food is at an all-time high. MGTOW is the future of most men.
I'm a strong, independent woman. I can do anything and I don't need you.
What do you want?
Can you help me open this?
What do you say?
Thank you.
Joshua, what are your thoughts on MGTOW? Do you think they have some sense or are completely unreasonable?
I think that MGTOW is reasonable. I know that the standard issue feminist shaming response makes the most noise, but if men choose to avoid marriage and cohabitation and work to be the best version of themselves, then that is their business. Women need to attempt to understand why they need to get so upset about MGTOW. Men are beings who have built society. If they now choose to back away, it is a response to how society has changed. Sadly, the detractors who dislike MGTOW or feel threatened by it cannot extend similar literal courtesy to men, the disposable sex.
Joshua, some guys got upset when I asked this question and told me to leave it alone. But I just want to know, is MGTOW a woman-hating thing? Or is it just a thing where men keep away from women?
There can be misogynists in MGTOW, but MGTOW itself isn't misogynistic. It's not a thing designed for men to keep men away from women as much as keep them away from the system that heavily favors women at men's expense. Marriage, cohabitation, and children are big no-nos, but short-term casual dating is fine. Marriage and cohabitation both give birth to alimony fees, while children give birth to child support fees. However, some men will go full-fledged monk mode, which is staying away from even that, not even sex or dating women, maybe not even porn. Beyond that is going ghost, which is withdrawing from society as a whole and living off the grid, contributing as little to the system as possible.
Many years ago, I instantly objected to the MGTOW movement on the basis that it sounded like a bunch of embittered men who had gotten shafted by women. But the more I listened to men, got burned by the system, and actually read about the movement, I realized that, even though it may attract some angry or bitter guys, it also speaks to the truths of many men who are the victims of a social system that has tilted more and more in favor of women. I noticed in watching TV and movies that the violence against men has not let up much, but that almost no violence against women or children is tolerated. In fact, men are far more likely to be violently mistreated than even stray dogs. Men are far more likely to be killed than women or children. A man who tries to save himself in a disaster or crisis is looked down upon, but women or children who try to break free in a disaster are approved. Men who are physically assaulted by women or children in public are laughed at or mocked. Women who are physically assaulted by men are quickly rescued. I remember being in a situation where I was with a woman who was violent to me. I remember calling the police. She was still visibly angry and loud when they came. I was calm and collected. Guess who they asked to leave? I had to find a cheap hotel to spend the night. I was angry. I realized that if the situation was switched around, and I had been the angry one, the situation would have been even worse for me. As my eyes were opened, I began to hear more and more men pour out their hearts about how rigged and unfair the system was. I saw, for the first time, that men were not just whining and crying, they had some legitimate gripes. It isn't that something has changed in the nature of women. They are the same as they have always been. There is much that is good about women, but the bad and the ugly get minimized with them in many cases, whereas with men, most of their flaws are magnified. Now, some things men do are also minimized. I don't think, for example, that a female version of Trump could get away with some of the things he has. I believe that if he were a woman, he would probably not be president. So there is some room for women to also complain about double standards, but they do exist on both sides. I would not ever deny that anymore. Men suffer just like women do, but in different ways. I remember when some women tennis players were complaining that they didn't get paid as much as men. The men didn't respond, but they had a right to. They, for the most part, play more tennis in a given season against stiffer competition. Now, if there were a greater demand to see women's tennis, it wouldn't matter. Women should get paid more. Is there more of a demand to see women's tennis? I don't think so. I think it is at least equal. Yet men play harder against better competition. But men who raise these objections are called sexist. That has to stop. The whole myth about men getting $1 for every 76 or 78 cents a woman makes is also misleading and damaging. Men do not make more than women, all things considered. Women may take off for maternity leave, morning sickness, or because they are more likely to have custody of the kids, more sick leave, but men actually work more physical hours outside the home, that women work more within the home. Many more myths create a false perception that men have it better across the board. MGTOW, whether you agree with it or not, attempts to draw attention to the rights of men and focus on their right to go their own way and not get entangled in messy, complicated relationships if they don't choose to. The fight isn't against women, but against the system. If you can't win a game, don't play. We care less about what happens to society. Their stupid laws ruined the family structure. That's all for today on Manhood. Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe buttons, and also click on the notification bell to be the first to know when I drop a new video. If you find value in my videos, you can show your support through PayPal or Cash App. The links are in the description. See you next time. Cheers!